Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry it took me a little bit of time to get all the stuff up on the website today. Um, yeah, I just had a bunch of stuff I had to get through, and I apologize for the delay. So here it is today. So on my month plan, I had intro written on. We're going to look at thesis statements today with one little thing at the end. These I intend for it to sort of be kind of something you can go back to if you need to going forward in next year, college and university. This is stuff that you could look back at because thesis statements is something you're going to be living with for the next number of years in your schooling, for especially my arts and social science students, possibly my science and other engineering and type, like maybe not as much, but it's always good to kind of be able to boil down your ideas to a singular statement, and that's what thesis statements are. So without wasting any more time, we'll just start off here. So the basics of essays is the next little sort of series of talks on Wednesday. So the thesis is today. Adapted this from a book called The Practical Stylist. It's just a book on how to write good essays, and it is a good one. I definitely recommend that book. But there are many other books like style guides and different books. It can be really helpful to have one of those books to help you with your academic writing in the years ahead. So just a few back to basics. I'll just talk about formatting basics. 12-point font, no wacky fonts, never Comic Sans, double spaced, pages numbered, and student's name in the header at the top margin of the page. You can have your name. So for me, it'd be Beckett 1 /5. So author, my name, Beckett, number of pages, and the page number. So it's Beckett, page 1 of 5. Staple top left-hand corner, regular size paper, letter paper, a title page with an original title. Maybe not even a title page, depending, but certainly an original title. A works cited page, and never use an exclamation point. Those are more for fiction than they are for any kind of academic work. All right. So thesis is a central controlling idea of your essay, your main idea boiled down into 1 or 2 sentences. So this is like the important thing of just sort of being concise. You have an idea, you want to be able to say exactly what that is. So for some of you, maybe not an English student in the future, but even a business student, to be in business, you need to be able to do a pitch, and your pitch would be boiling down the important aspect of your product or service, or whatever it might be that you're creating. That one main idea. So thesis is a concise, supportable statement about your central opinion, judgment, or idea about the focused topic. A thesis is based on your thinking or your research. A bad essay comes from a bad beginning, moreover a bad thesis. An essay is like a debate. You argue one side, imagine your reader arguing the other. The thesis is your essay's life and spirit. So your thesis needs to be significant. So it has to be relevant and meaningful. It has to argue something. It can't just be something that's kind of obvious. It has to be single, focused on one kind of argument, one thing. It has to be specific. It looks at the question in detail, and has to be supportable. Can you actually prove your thesis? So in social sciences, you're going to use data from studies and other things. Maybe you'll have your own study one day when you get to grad school, but for social sciences, you're going to need studies in science. You'd need to have evidence in forms of experimental data, however you say that. For English and the arts, your thesis is your opinion based upon the text that you are examining. Okay, so for an art, let's say like an art history major, you're looking at pieces of art and making arguments about that art. For an English major, you're looking at pieces of literature or different texts, and you're using what's in that as the basis of your argument. All right, so keep going here. So steps to writing a thesis statement. Start with the question. So either one asked by your instructor or a question you are interested in answering that arises from your research. So as you go through the years of your post-secondary education, it will go to less of the professor, teacher, instructor asking you the question and more of you coming up with your own question. And that's what a buddy of mine who did his PhD, coming up with a question is just as hard as anything else. That's the most difficult, sometimes almost the most difficult thing. And then the thesis is the answer of that question. So one thing you can do is you start with a question asked by your instructor, and then you're going to write a rough draft thesis statement that answers the question. And then as you write your paper, you might need to rewrite or revise your thesis so it actually addresses all of your key points. Sometimes you get to the end, you're like, that thesis statement's it's kind of right, but not quite right after I'm done writing my body paragraphs. And you may have to go back and just revise that. So that's an important thing to note, that when you're done writing your body paragraphs, you may have to go back and look at that thesis statement again and revise it. So that's an important thing to think about. And the thesis should be a roadmap for the rest of your essay. So that means when I'm reading an essay and I see the thesis, this is what, it's the answer basically at the start of the paper. It's the answer to the whole thing, and the rest of it is just evidence that you're laying out to prove that you're right. So another approach to writing a thesis statement is to use a con assertion pro. So a con is a concession to your opponent's point of view to put an argumentative edge on your thesis and show you, the reader, you have considered the situation from more than one perspective. As a teenager, you might use this, or as a young adult, you might use this with parents, or just to sort of say, well, I know you're going to say no to me taking a gap year, but and you say that I'll just get you say that I'll just get off track if I take a gap year. But these are the things that I would like to do during this time. So basically, like conceding the other side, right? Conceding the other side. When my sons are starting to do that, and they're only in grade 6. Like, Dad, I know you didn't want me to stay up late and play Fortnite, but so they're conceding like my concern at the start of the argument, saying, like, sort of framing the debate. So it's a rhetorical device that you can use. So once you concede to the opposition's point of view, you can come up with your point of view. So what's your opinion on the material at hand? And then providing the reason for your belief, so provide your reader with reason, one that is broad enough to encompass all of your arguments for your position. So an example that I wrote, just as an example, about the book Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. Although some suggest that Chuck Palahniuk's Fight Club is an endorsement of fascism, Fight Club is truly a commentary on the dissatisfaction experienced by Generation X in the 1990s and the dangerous places such a malaise could lead. So, in that case, this is all a concession, right? Some would say this, right, all the way up to here. Okay, that's all a concession to the other side. And then the rest is the assertion and the reason, or at least the assertion, right? So the thesis is the rest of it. So the first part is just sort of framing the debate. And sometimes when you frame the other side's, this is a big thing in politics. If you can frame the opposition side, if you can kind of define what their message is for them, even though it might be wrong, you can kind of win that way. All right. So to do. So the to do today. The to do today. or whenever you see this sometime, send me an email after writing a thesis statement for the following question. How is Life of Pi an example of magic realism? Oh boy, Beckett, why are you doing this to us, right? Okay, so here's 2 examples. Life of Pi is a magic realist text. Many of the key characteristics of magic realism are central to the novel. So that'd be fine, right? And then I'd also have the person who would be using this thesis would also have the 3 points that would be what the body would become. The next one kind of cheats and it has the 3 points in a sense. So, inharmonious opposites, magical elements, and a story that readers cannot quite confirm to be true are 3 elements that prove Life of Pi, I should have it italicized, is a novel in the tradition of magic realism. I'm going to fix that right now. So, in both cases, they're okay, and you may it's an okay opening kind of thing for a thesis. So you may find if I was to write this, I may have to change it, but at the end when I'm finished my conclusion and my body paragraph, I may have to go back and revise the thesis statement in the intro, and that's totally fine. Sometimes it just needs that tweaking because you're as I wrote, it actually kind of would be better if I phrased it this way or that way. So you may have to sort of, change a bit of what your thesis says at the end. All right, so that's all for today. Hope you guys are doing well. Looks like the sun has come back and hopefully some better weather. And yeah, we'll see you guys on Friday. Thanks so much. Take care.